Beyond the Mic with Sean Dillon.
We're joined on the Starline by an author and a PR executive. One has 5 books made into documentaries, 5 New York Times bestsellers, 4 LA Times bestsellers. The other took care of stories at Disney, Fox, Warner Brothers, and many other places. They have come together for a gripping book, The Fixer, Moguls, Mobsters, Movie Stars, and Marilyn. We welcome Josh Young and Manfred Westfall.
Good morning, Sean. This is Manfred.
Friends, let's go beyond Mike. Fred Otash was an ex-Marine who turned into an LAPD vice cop, turned into a private detective to the entertainment industry. Manfred, you were working with Fred on his life story before he tragically passed. How much of the story of the private eye who never blinked has been released, and how much do you still have forthcoming?
Well, we have quite a bit. I mean, The Fixer chronicles the extraordinary life of Freddie Otash. He was the premier private detective and go-to fixer to the stars in the 50s and 60s, notorious for bugging the homes, offices, and playpens of movie stars, kingmakers, and powerful politicians, then state-of-the-art methods of electronic surveillance, and his specialty, which was wiretapping. His more notable clients and targets included, the who's who of Hollywood: Frank Sinatra, Judy Garland, Lana Turner, Rock Hudson, Betty Davis, Sammy Davis Jr., Errol Flynn, Peter Lawford, President John F. Kennedy, and Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy, and of course, the one and only Marilyn Monroe. I mean, you get the picture. It was one hell of a party.
Hell yeah. Josh, as a writer of very diverse topics, what amazed you about the files of the late Mr. Otash?
Well, there's been a lot written about Fred, most of it not true. In the case of this project, the fact that we had all the files of Fred and his cases, we could chronicle what exactly happened in all of these various situations. And, in essence, you have Fred coming up and telling you the story from the grave. And so this treasure trove of information and detail and stories is just something that you don't see that often.
Gentlemen, with the rash of reports from TMZ, social media, and anyone with a cell phone camera today, how many secrets in Hollywood are still being kept right now?
Oh, I think there are plenty of secrets in Hollywood that are still being kept. I think what people see on their cell phones, I mean, new technology certainly has made a dent in all of that, but there's a whole lot of secrets that nobody hears of because of modern day fixers that took the baton from Fred and ran with it.
The book is The Fixer, Moguls, Mobsters, Movie Stars in Maryland, and Josh Young and Manfred Westfall. Well, gentlemen, it's time for my special investigation. It's the Rocky Nate. 8 random questions. Answer with the first thing that comes to your mind. There's no pressure. Since we have 2 guests, I'll alternate questions. Josh, which book of yours didn't get the attention you thought it should have?
Make Your Own Rules was a book I did with Wayne Rogers, who was a star of MASH, but became a great businessman, owned part of the Oakland A's, the largest bridal company, a barge company. And we did well, but probably not as well as we should have.
Manfred, where was the best place you ever modeled for?
I ever modeled?
Yes, sir.
I would say Italian Vogue.
Josh, are lawyers the best or worst of society?
They're in the gray area, just like our protagonist in the book, Fred Otash. They're very necessary, but they're also, some of them are scum-sucking pigs, frankly.
Manfred, what's your best client at APA?
Oh, gosh. Who is my best client at APA? I would have to say APA because I worked for the entire company.
Josh, what's the best book you've ever picked up at any independent bookstore?
There was an autobiography of Albert Cubby Broccoli, who was the producer of the James Bond movies, that I bought at Book Soup maybe 25 years ago. It got very little attention, but it was a very, very interesting book.
Manfred, which was your favorite between American Idol, America's Got Talent, or X Factor?
That's kind of hard. I would have to say...
It has to be America's Got Talent, because I wrote a book with Howie Mandel. So I'll answer that for him.
I thought if I brought that question up, I'd get that answer.
I was leading into Simon Cowell because he had a piece of all of it. So,
Exactly.
Well, I guess you hit one, you hit them all.
Josh, what's the first book you were ever given to read?
Greasy, Zonka, Kick, the Miami Dolphins, and the 1-2 Punch, about the 1972-73 Dolphins football team.
Wow, I missed that one under the tree.
Manfred, are you an overachiever or perfectionist?
Oh, wow. I think I'm a little bit of both, which can be deadly.
Let's sneak in a couple more with Josh Young and Manfred Westfall, authors of The Fixer, Moguls, Mobsters, Movie Stars, and Marilyn Beyond the Mic. What's the one story that shocked you the most from Fred Otash, and why?
Well, this is Manfred. I would have to say it's Marilyn Monroe and Fred's relationship with her. I mean, it's perhaps she was perhaps the most famous, sensational of his clients and friends. I mean, they first met when they were practically kids, you might say, and she was a young ingenue named Norma Jean, and he a young, strapping rookie police officer. And as the years passed, theirs became a very nuanced, complicated, and somewhat tumultuous friendship that spanned the course of their respective Hollywood journeys until her death in 1962, which was an event that haunted him for the rest of his life.
Josh?
I think that what we learn about the death of Johnny Stompanato, the mobster who was purportedly killed by Lana Turner in a rage. Stompanato was stabbed to death in her house, and Fred was called by her attorney. He was one of the first people on the scene. The official version of the events pinned the murder on Cheryl Crane, Lana's teenage daughter, who ended up going into juvenile detention. We reveal in the books very new information about what might have happened. And let's just say it's not the official version of the events.
Never is. How did Fred Otash's daughter's support of this book help you guys so much?
When Josh and I first sat down to write this book, our primary objective was to tell Fred's authentic truth, since his legacy had been rather raped and pillaged by various fictional authors ever since his mysterious and untimely death in 1992. That goal would have never been possible or credible if not for Fred's daughter, Colleen, who so graciously granted us exclusive and unfettered access to her father's archives that until recently sat dormant inside a secure, climate-controlled storage facility for nearly 3 decades. So it was this incredible treasure trove of Fred's personal and investigative files that served as the primary source material for The Fixer.
Manfred, what's the one question you wanted the answer from Fred?
Well, I think it was the question that I asked him before he, multiple times before he passed. And that was what really happened to Marilyn Monroe.
Time for one big question with the incredible Josh Young and Manfred Westfall Beyond the Mic. Gentlemen, do you believe you have all of Fred Otash's files, or have some been disappeared to keep the truth of Marilyn's death, or some other cases hidden forever?
We don't. In fact, we reveal in the book that there was a hot red file cabinet that Fred kept in his apartment that was locked, that was removed by an attorney of his. Manfred was actually in Fred's apartment and saw that filing cabinet, but never got his hands fully in it. The records that we do have were records that Fred kept in locked storage at Bank of America.
That was the red filing cabinet. And when I asked him about it so many years ago, he said, "Those are my hot files. Nobody goes in there but me." And when he died, Arthur Crowley, his attorney, emptied his apartment. The red filing cabinet disappeared, never to be seen again. A shackle was put on the door, and that was the end of that. Thank God he kept most of his files in a vault in Bank of America.
Manfred loved modeling for Italian Vogue. Josh's favorite book was about Albert Cubby Broccoli from 007, and they want you to read their book, The Fixer, Moguls, Mobsters, Movie Stars, and Marilyn. Josh Young, Manfred Westfall, thanks so much for taking the time to talk with us today.
It was a pleasure, Sean. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
And that, my friends, is Beyond the Mic Shortcut. If you're enjoying these conversations, please check out another Beyond the Mic episode to find more actors, artists, and people you need to know. We'd also appreciate a like and subscribe on the Good Pods app.